The craziest lesson that I ever learned is that hitting middle class, there is no reward. There's none. It's more profitable to sit in poverty on Section 8s, on Medicaid, especially insurance. I'm $4 million in medical debt, by the way.
All right. A lot has already happened. She says she was $4 million in medical debt. And it says here, take my warning, stay on welfare, do not give up the ghost to get out into the middle class.
Said that it is much more profitable and honestly a lot less stressful to sit home on food stamps, on Medicaid, on Section 8. It's just better. It's less stressful. You have free childcare, free food, free housing, the government will even supply you with a car and gas vouchers to get to the doctor appointment when you need to. I'm sorry, but there is no reward for leaving poverty in America. There is no reward to work hard.
All right, this is going to be an interesting one, I see. I had a conversation with somebody about this very topic. And the reason is because this person is middle class, but they are struggling extremely hard, right? And they're not going above and beyond. Like, they are right on the brink of middle class and poverty. Might as well be in poverty. Not trying to get out of the situation, not trying to do anything to better themselves. So they will likely stay right where they are. And with the way that the economy is looking, the way that inflation has continued to go up over and over, not just in the last few years, but decade after decade. So I'm not going to say, oh, all of a sudden this is some anomaly that we didn't know was happening. They pretty much stayed in the same situation. I even asked that person, what is the difference between you and being on welfare? And they told me, I get to own my home. I get to own my car. I get to do these things, right? Now, I'm not saying she's somebody that doesn't want anything out of life, but I'm saying if you are somebody that wants to go from either poverty or middle class, you really need to do it. Y'all have to really try. And I'm not saying she didn't try because maybe that's where her frustration is coming from. Maybe she tried and it wasn't enough. But I personally wouldn't be online recommending people to just be on welfare. And the reason is because I feel like then you're dependent on the government. And a lot of people who may be in that situation may be limiting their potential. They may be able to go out in the workforce and do way better things to make way more money. And I know that because I've seen it with people who actually wanted to stay on the system because they were trying to game the system, or they kept having children because the more children they had, the more help they would get. And they didn't care. They weren't trying to do anything better with themselves because they knew that the government or Section 8 was going to be there to take care of them. And I feel like a lot of those people might have had what it took to do great things, but honestly, we'll never know because they're not doing it. Now, we've seen people who grew up in poverty, who come from living in welfare, from Section 8, things of that sort, and they are able to make a better life for themselves. So I never would want to stop somebody from reaching their full potential. Even if for me, if something didn't go right personally, I wouldn't be like, yeah, don't even try, y'all. Just give it up. Take it from me. It's like my experience and your experience is going to be totally different in life. And that is why I think we have to be very careful and mindful about what we're putting into each other, the thought processes that we're trying to instill in people. You don't know if there's a younger person listening to you that might not feel like they have any hope, and you might have just really messed it up for them. But because you are where you are and you don't see any light, this is what you put out. For example, under my videos, I see comments of older people. These people be like in their 60s, y'all, 60s. And they're commenting under videos of younger people or people that are around their age, right? And they'll say things like, no, have fun now. You should be able to go on the vacation, do all the stuff that essentially these people can't afford to do. They are in debt. That is the context. And context matters. They would get in the comments and advise for these people to continue to do that because they're quote unquote young and we don't know when they're not going to be here no more, when they're going to give up the ghost, if you get what I mean. And they'll say stuff like, oh, I had a friend that passed away when he was 30 and all he did was work and he never took a vacation. And I'm looking at the comment section like, you just said you were 60. So your friend is not here that was 30, and that's very sad. And I agree that we don't know when we're going to go. Just because something that was more on the rare side happened to somebody that you know, or somebody got sick at a very young age, people will hop in the comments and be like, oh, well, this happened, so you shouldn't even try. And it's like, you're still here. You are living proof. And I think while you're on earth, it's best to just do the best you can. I feel like for me, that I would rather try to live a life that I'm comfortable with. It doesn't mean that you have to be rich, but it doesn't mean that I just do everything subpar to where I'm stagnant and not able to progress in life and I'm holding myself back because I want to stay in a system.
There is no reward to work hard.
And the other thing I wanted to add about her saying she doesn't think that it's worth it to work hard, when you are in these sort of programs that she's pretty much recommending to people, You get what they give you, and that's it. So if you're okay with it, and many people are, you've made up your mind. Because in life, I don't think people should have to convince you to live a certain lifestyle. If this is the life you truly want to live, then live it. That's the way I see it. But I wouldn't put it out to the world like, hey, like, take my advice, stay on welfare. Like, that's wild. Because she may be okay with it, but everybody's not going to be okay with it. There's a lot of people who live in these environments. They don't want to live there. Some of them are there because they're using the assistance properly. Some of them aren't gaming the system. They may have fell on hard times and they're working to get off of it. They may want their children to go to certain schools or grow up in certain environments. And let's be for real, y'all. We know how a lot of people grow up in these environments. I'm not saying you can't have a good childhood, but I am saying it's going to be a lot different than people who live a middle class life. And then if you have family and you have children and you have kids, that may affect them and how they grow up.
I have suffered more in middle class than I ever did in poverty. Yeah, you know what? I had my bad days in poverty, right? Like, I remember going to the store, buy milk, on a store credit, right? Like where you tell the guy, oh, I get paid on the first, whatever. Or you go and you pay for milk with pennies, right? Like I've had those days. I've had bad, poor days, but I have never hustled and bustled and stressed more than when I started doing things the right way. I wasn't dealing. I wasn't stealing. I wasn't doing nothing. I became a tax-paying citizen. I hit middle class. I bought a home. I followed the American dream, and then I got fucked. And if I was on Medicaid, we'd be good. We'd be living such a lavish lifestyle right now.
Okay, so she's saying that if she was on Medicaid, she'd be good. So I'm wondering, did she not have insurance at the time? Did something happen? Because it sounds like because she said she had a medical expense or something that was in the millions, that's why she feels the way she feels. And I can understand healthcare in America. Like, I definitely think things could be better with that because a lot of these bills that people get are ridiculous, especially for people who are uninsured. I think it's ridiculous for them. It's high and they have penitentiary numbers on the bills. So I'm trying to be understanding of where she's coming from because it seems like this is stemming from the healthcare system and her experience with it that may have been less than satisfactory.
Oh man, this country taught me that it is not worth it to work. It is not worth it to want to become anything with your life.
I don't know about that. See, I think two things can be true at once. The healthcare system could suck for you, which I can understand. Whether it's worth it or not, it's going to depend on the person because everybody is not going to be okay with staying still. I know I'm not okay with that. I know a lot of people like to think people don't go through hard times, and I think everybody goes through their trials and tribulations. Everybody's not on the internet talking about everything that has happened to them in life or all the things, all the setbacks that they've had. We really don't know what each other are going through unless somebody shares. But it's very sad for me to hear people give up on themselves and just be like, it's not worth it.
Man, let me go sign back up for Section 8 because who we outsell this mother house today. I'm just saying, you've given people no hope. You've given people no reason to want to do the right thing. There is no incentive.
Who is supposed to give you hope? No, I mean, seriously, y'all. Who is supposed to give you hope? First off, let me go there because I think we're going to go there today. If you're putting your hope in man, you're already wrong. You're already lost. You already lost the battle. I don't know who some of y'all are looking to, but I'm telling you, if you're putting your trust in man, man is going to let you down every time. So I don't know who she's referring to when she says you've given people no hope, no incentive to do the right thing. And I would even go as far as to say this. If you got to be incentivized to do the right thing, that says a lot. Like, you shouldn't be incentivized to do the right thing because the opposite of doing the right thing is doing the wrong thing or doing something that's bad. Why would you want to do something that's bad or not good?
Do not cry, moan, and complain when people choose the other option. I'm not even mad at people for staying on welfare. I should have done that. Less than $20,000 a year to over $100,000 a year. And I live, well, maybe not, but I live not as comfortable as I did. Maybe I have more, phone call. Maybe I have more luxuries, right? Maybe I have more luxuries right now. And I enjoy being able to go out and do certain things. And yeah, I don't have to worry about the lights being cut off. But man, is it stressful. You spend entire days dealing with insurance companies and you have to make sure. Like, I can't even imagine if I had to work right now. If I didn't retire, another phone call because I have $4 million in medical debt. Yay. I'll keep getting interrupted on my video. But nonetheless, that's 3 calls in one video. Being said that, I lived a much more comfortable life. It was less stressful. Yes, I was poor. Yes, it was draining. But this middle class America, the we fight to get into, it's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. You are literally taxed to death.
No lie. I had a friend call me. He told me he made $300,000. So I go to congratulate him. He said, I didn't even see half of it. I had to pay so much in taxes. I said, what? He said, last year I had to pay $60,000 in taxes. I said, oh, and I was feeling bad for myself until I heard that because I too am one of those people who have to pay taxes, and it hurt this year. It hurt a lot. And do you know that I actually had conversations with people saying, are you scared to try to make money because of taxes? And I'm like, why would I not want to do better because I know I'm going to have to pay taxes? A lot of people have the mindset of, I'm scared to make money because I'm scared to pay taxes. And I'm total opposite. I want to make as much as I can. I want to do as much as I can, and I want to be as much as I can be while I'm here. I don't want to do bare minimum. I don't want to just be comfortable. I want what I want. And I know there's a lot of people like that too. I want to go as far as I can go because I know on the opposite side of that, it could be where I started at. And where I started at wasn't very fun. And I don't want to go back to that. I wasn't on welfare. But if I hadn't packed up and left for the military when I did, I might have just been on welfare. Now, I will say this. The one reason I feel like this video she's making right now may upset a lot of people is because if she's physically able to work and she's just trying to be on welfare, a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people have a stigma about people on welfare because a lot of people are doing welfare fraud. And then you got the people that are like, this is where our taxpayer dollars are going and blah, blah, blah. And there's people actually on there that just don't want to work, and I got to go to work, so you got to go to work. In all honesty, welfare was not created for people to just game the system and just say, hey, I don't want to work, I'm just going to be on welfare. But that is what we ended up seeing happen. It was supposed to be used as a stepping stone, but what it ended up being for a lot of people was something way more permanent on purpose.
And then when you're not taxed to that, you're paying all of your income. You even have so much as a cold or a flu or anything like that, you're
Well, I'm going to say this. If you have a cold or a flu and you're not able to take off from work, it's very unfortunate. But this is why I like to talk about having an emergency fund, because that's what these things are for. If you're chronically ill, this is a totally different subject. This is a totally different conversation for people that are chronically ill. And that might actually be somewhere along in her story, why that medical bill is so high. The emergency fund or the sinking fund, which a lot of people refer to it as, is there for those sort of things. But typically what we see happen is you go to work, putting no money aside, an emergency happens, and then everyone looks around like, where are we supposed to get the money? We had enough to get by every month because we're maxed out on everything that we get as income, and that's going to the expenses. And they're trying to understand where this money is supposed to come from. It's supposed to come from the emergency fund. It's supposed to come from the savings. It's supposed to come from something like that. Now, I'm not saying that people can't have something that will wipe them out, because again, that is one of them things that people love to bring up is, what if you have a huge emergency and it wipes you clean? Well, at least you had some of the money, or you had a good chunk of change of the money in order to help you out in that situation. But I fear far too many people are going through life day to day. And I'm not saying that was her situation. I'm just speaking to what an emergency fund is for. A lot of people are going through day to day, not expecting life to life. And when it lifes hard. And then they ask questions. That's backwards. Then you end up in debt. Some people get into a car accident and they didn't have car insurance, and then they have to pay out of pocket. They then will end up wishing that they had car insurance. People get a flat tire. They end up having to put it on their credit card. They can't pay that back for another 4 months, so they pay with interest. It's because they didn't have money to directly buy a tire when they caught the flat. This is just what happens. There are unforeseen circumstances that are very abnormal. And I think what she's talking about is very abnormal, because millions of dollars for a medical bill or whatever she's talking about is ridiculous. But two things can be true at once. And I acknowledge the fact that, yeah, you probably ain't about to have $1 million. She's talking about healthcare and she did everything right and she was retired. So the real question when we get to the meat and potatoes of what she's saying and what her actual gripe is, it seems more like the healthcare system, and maybe she didn't have a good insurance, which I can actually understand her not having a good insurance, because a lot of people say that that is out of their price range. Maybe her husband didn't have a good insurance. I don't know her situation, but in that case, I could understand.
Like, I can't imagine if I didn't retire early. If I had to go and work a job right now, like, what days would I be able to take off to deal with all of the insurance? Because again, $4 million in medical debt, hello.
See? And again, outrageous. They really get down in the medical field. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't think a bill should ever be that high. I don't know what happened. But my question then is, were you uninsured or what happened? And honestly, I still respect her opinion and see where she's coming from. I think she had a unique circumstance that's making her feel like that right now. But I still don't think overall everyone is going to have got hit with something so crazy. Like that number she said, I feel for her. And I like to try to see other people's perspectives to really understand where they're coming from. I'm assuming if she was on welfare or Section 8, that her medical care would have been taken care of, and that's where she's coming from, because now, because she wasn't on Section 8, she's having to figure out this $2 million situation she got going on. So she's like, hey, I could have just stayed over there. I'm not even sure if that's how it works. So y'all comment down below and let me know, is that how it works when you're on welfare and you're on Section 8? All of your medical care is being taken care of by the government? And does that extend to your children also? But before, when she was in poverty and trying to work her way up, she didn't know she was going to get hit with $2 million worth of expenses in the medical care, which leads me to believe that in this specific case, that there is a lack of healthcare coverage for her in this situation.
So then I hope and pray for your sake that you never have a downfall. And I hope and pray for your sake that you never, ever, ever have a health crisis.
Okay, hold up. So it says here, this is a very horrible mindset. I've been through poverty and I sacrificed time and saved money to invest my own business.
I hope that you don't have a child that has mental health issues that they have to deal with. I hope and pray that your home never has a roof that collapses or an HVAC system that needs to be repaired, or you buy a home and then all of a sudden you're dealing with mold issues or whatever else life can throw at you. I hope and pray that you don't have those same issues.
Now, I'm not sure if that's all what happened to her. If so, that's very sad. A whole bunch of bad situations back to back to back, different situations. And I'm not saying this about her, but whenever I hear people say, I hope that don't happen to you, I be kind of feeling like, really, do you wish it didn't happen to me? Because it's just the tone. That's what it is. I'm being totally honest. It's the way they say it. It's like, well, I hope you never. And it's like, dang, like, may that sort of life and these sort of experiences never find me. Because goodness.
Because in my experience, it would be a lot easier to have all my bills, my rent, and my overhead covered, guaranteed. I would not be $4 million in medical debt. My credit score would still be at 800, although my credit score is still good, but I'm at risk of it not being good.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you don't have the mindset that I have. I find so much joy in the fact that you have not had the same experiences and downfalls of me, because my husband alone made over $100,000 a year. And I'm literally about to file his taxes. He made under $20,000.
Excuse me? Did I hear math wrong in my head? Because she said he made over $100,000. And what happened? About 20K? I gotta go back because I gotta be tripping right now.
And I'm literally about to file his taxes. He made under $20,000.
He made $100,000, but then he made $200,000. So did he have a business that he put $80,000 into? Because and y'all, I'll never claim to be the sharpest tool in the shed. So y'all let me know. I'm not understanding.
Because of a health crisis that I am in. I'm retired. I retired at the age of 31. I got to retire early. Thank God, because I built my own business, a multi-million-dollar business. And I was able to retire early. But not everybody has that privilege. You know what I'm saying? So I have a guaranteed income, no matter what, because of my savings. But had I not had that, we would have lost our home already. We would have lost everything. And that would not have happened to me on welfare.
Is it just me? She's saying she still has income coming in because she's retired. She retired at 31. Self-made millionaire, which she really did the thing. Like, she said she came from poverty. If she went from that to a millionaire, my question, and this is a legit question, is what are the medical expenses, and are they not covered by your insurance? Or is there a lack of insurance? Because we do know that the healthcare system can be flawed in aspects of not covering certain things for certain people. And I really wish she would discuss that, because that would actually be a good conversation. But we honestly only know so much based off of the video.
It wouldn't happen to me on welfare, because daddy government would came in and paid my bills every single month. No issues, no questions asked. It just would have gotten done.
She said daddy government would have came and paid her bills.
I'm glad that you have had the privilege to not think back and go, man, I missed welfare, because it was so much easier.
I feel like I need to see the comment section of this video. Crazy enough, this was just posted like 3 hours ago. And it says here, if you are both making over $100K a year, then you are living beyond your means. And I've lived on welfare. It's not as easy as you think. This is why I went hard for my kids. And she ended up saying TikTok needs a laugh reaction emoji. But she did say she already lived on welfare. So she's just like, hey, I want to go back because, she has this medical debt. And then the person ended up saying, I'm a homeowner and yes, I have kids. This is why we need emergency funds, which is also what I was saying. But she seems like she has income coming in because she was a self-made millionaire, according to her. And she said, we've blown 300 plus of our egg nests on my health crisis. Do you know how health crises work? How much do you have in your nest egg? What I was thinking earlier is exactly what she's saying here. She had an emergency, she had a little nest egg, and she ended up having to blow it because she had a medical emergency, it seems like. But I just wish we had the context of, do you have health insurance? Does your husband have health insurance? Does he work for somebody that provides health insurance coverage? Were you not covered for a certain thing under the system or under the policy? Because we have heard stories like that. And I think that would be a great conversation to have. And I'm just somebody from the outside looking in, but it's got her to the point where she's like, hey, I want to go back to welfare. And given her circumstance and why she's saying it, I can understand why she's saying it. I just don't agree. I wouldn't say I want to go back to something like that, but I can see why she's saying it for sure. In her case, I don't think that's for everybody. She didn't know that was going to happen to her. And we also don't know if she has health insurance coverage. But nonetheless, I wish her the best. And I hope that she is able to get past whatever it is she's battling that has her in this crippling amount of debt. Because she said millions. She said $4 million. Lord have mercy. But y'all, let me know what you think about all this down below. Do you think it's better to be on welfare, or is it better to try to climb yourself from poverty to middle class, or from poverty to upper middle class, or quote unquote rich? Do you feel like the middle class doesn't get the same benefits as people on welfare? Or do you think that you just need to go straight to being one of the 1% earners in the United States if you're going to do it? And there's often a conversation online about there's a line being blurred between the lower class and the middle class. But y'all, let me know what you think about all this down below. And we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.